Hello, welcome. We're going to start by dropping into our space. So finding your comfortable seat, sit bones are grounding into the mat. The crown of the head is reaching up towards the ceiling. So we're just going to start to create that space in the spine, space in the body. So we're going to roll the shoulders back and allow them to drop down the back. Completely relaxing through the shoulders and just letting go of your day so far, letting go of anything you need to do for the rest of the day. The rest of the week we're just going to become fully present on the mat, fully present in our practice today. So start to notice your breath. And we're not changing this at this point, we're just noticing how the breath is today. Noticing any sensations in the body. And just becoming aware of our internal world. Not judging, we're just noticing. When thoughts try to come into your mind throughout this practice, we're just going to notice them again, not judging, and just allow them to float away. They'll always come back. Anything important will always come back. And now we're going to start to deepen the breath. So taking the breath into the belly now. So you can bring your hands onto your belly and just guiding the air down to the hands as you inhale, pushing the hands away. And as you exhale, the hands draw back towards the spine. So inhale, lengthening the breath now, so lengthening the inhale, slowing it right down. Lengthening the exhale, fully releasing air, fully emptying the lungs. And connecting with our diaphragm now, so we're starting to send that signal to the body that we're about to move, and that we're calm. You can bring the hands back onto the knees if they were on your belly, but just keep that deep breath connection, so a few more breaths deep into the belly. So ensuring that we're breathing through the nose and keeping this breath throughout the practice. So if we feel we need more air, just deepen the breath through the nose by inhaling through the mouth. It feels like we're getting more air, but we're actually shallow breathing, so we don't take the air to where we need it, which is to oxygenate the blood and really fill the lungs. So we're just going to start to wake up the body now, getting ready for the movement. So just dropping your right ear to your right shoulder. Just allow the head to hang momentarily. Stretching through the side of the neck, shoulders are nice and loose. And then we're going to exhale, roll the chin towards the chest, releasing through the back of the neck. So really allow the head to drop and hang here. And then inhaling back to the left side. So coming to the left shoulder, allowing the head to pause here. And then exhale, rolling back down. Head is heavy, gravity pulling the head down. And then inhaling up to your right side, pausing here. And then exhale, rolling the head down. Noticing how your neck feels now. Where are the areas of tension? Can you breathe into those areas? Inhaling up to the left side, pausing here. And then one last time to release through the neck. Exhaling, roll the head down. And rolling back up to your right side in your own time. And then when you reach your right shoulder, bring the head back to center. And then we're just going to roll the shoulders backwards. So bring the shoulders up towards the ears, rolling back down. So just again, notice the shoulders now. How are they feeling today? Any bit sticky areas? And then release into those areas. And rolling the shoulders forward. So just noticing and moving how the body feels good. So if you want to widen the circles, widen the circles. And coming back to center. When I clasp the hands, press the palms away. Inhale, look up to the ceiling, drop the shoulders away from the ears and press the hands up. So we're looking up and creating a stretch on the front of the neck. And then with an exhale, we're going to draw a big circle over to the right side. So doming through the upper back as we move. Exhaling down through center. Notice the back of the shoulders as you're moving. Inhale, drawing that circle all the way back up to the ceiling. Pause here, looking up, stretching high. And then exhale, draw the circle back to the left side now. Exhaling down. Coming through center, drawing your big wide circle. Inhaling up. Coming to center, and then exhale, float the fingers down. So we're going to just grab onto the front of the knees. We're going to do a seated cat and cow. So with an inhale, we're going to shine the chest forward, look up to the ceiling. And then we're going to exhale to round, so you can kind of pull back gently on your knees and just round the back. Exhaling. Inhale, shine the chest forward, looking up. Exhaling to round. Inhale, come forward, looking up to the ceiling. Exhaling to round. One more of those. We're going to shine the chest forward, keeping the shoulders away from the ears, looking up. And then exhale, rounding into your seated cat pose. And then inhale back to center. And then we're going to come to a tabletop. So just bringing your shoulders over your wrists, hips over your knees, feet to hip width apart. Check that you're in a really nice stable base here. And then we're going to shift the weight onto the left hand. Inhale, reach up to the ceiling. So really reaching up high. And then exhale, we're going to thread the needle. So bring the right shoulder down, the right cheek down, and just extend your left arm overhead. Breathing here. Remembering to breathe into the belly. And then bringing the left palm back underneath the shoulder. Gently lifting yourself up, reaching up with that right arm. And then exhale, coming back into your tabletop. And then coming to the other side. So shifting the weight into your right palm this time. Exhale, lifting up with the left as high as you can. And then exhale, threading the needle underneath. Left shoulder comes down, left cheek comes down. Extend the right arm alongside the ear. And breathe here. So just a gentle twist for the upper back here. And then bringing the right palm underneath the right shoulder. We're going to reach all the way up again and exhale, bring that palm back down. Now we're going to spin the left shin 90 degrees. And we're going to come to a side plank. So bring the right foot to the back of the mat and then reach up with your right hand. So again, we want to reach up towards the ceiling rather than pressing down onto the mat. And breathe here. So starting to wake up the core. Engaging the core, engaging the glutes. And then exhale, lower back down into your tabletop. And then we're going to twist the right shin this time 90 degrees. Bring the left foot to the back of the mat so you're in one long line. And we're reaching up with the left hand this time. So again, reaching rather than sinking. Engage the core, engage the glutes here. And breathe. And then we're going to exhale, come back into the tabletop position. Keeping hips over knees. We're just going to walk the hands forward and come into a puppy pose. So walking the hands forward, drop the chest, drop the forehead down. So stretching through the chest and into the armpits here. If that feels like a really nice stretch and you want to go a little bit deeper, you can come onto your chin and drop the chest a little bit further. See how you're feeling. Breathing into the belly. And then with an inhale, lifting the head, walking the hands back into your tabletop. And then we're just going to tuck the toes here, stretch out through the backs of the feet. So just a little gentle rocking movement here just to bring a bit of movement into the soles of the feet. And then when you're ready, we're going to tuck the toes and press up into our first downward facing dog. So first down dog, we're going to walk our dog. So movement in our down dog to start with. So pedaling the feet here. Pressing the heels towards the ground. You can stretch out through the backs of the legs. You can bend the knees. You can twist from side to side. So just anything that feels good here. Any little movements, rocking backwards and forwards. So just exploring how your body feels today. And then when you're ready, coming to stillness in your down dog. So hands are shoulder width apart. We're pressing away from the mat. So pressing into the fleshy parts of the thumbs. You can grip through your fingers onto the mat to create a bit of extra stability. Pressing out of the wrists, out of the shoulders. Pressing the heels towards the ground, bending the knees slightly, or as much as you need. And pressing the tailbone towards the ceiling. Chest comes towards the thighs. And externally rotating the upper arms to protect the shoulders. Keeping the head loose. Shake the head. No, not the head yet. And then coming to your down dog. And with an inhale, we're going to look in between the hands. Walk the hands to the back of the mat. So walk the hands towards your feet. And when you get to the back of your mat, feet are hip width apart. And we're going to hang here in our ragdoll. So grabbing opposite elbows with opposite hands. Again, the neck is nice and loose, so just check you're not tensing the neck or the shoulders here. And we're just going to hang here. You can gently rock from side to side if that feels good. And just allowing gravity to pull the head down, opening through the spine, creating space wherever we can. Then with an exhale, we're going to drop the fingers. With an inhale, draw a line up the legs with the fingertips. Try and go as slowly as you can. We're still kind of waking up the spine. We're still creating gentle movement. Here you come to standing at the back of the mat. So again, checking the feet are hip width. The tailbone is gently tucked. Shoulders are rolling away from the ears. Palms are facing forward. We're going to inhale, reach the arms high, bring them to prayer overhead. And just interlace all of your fingers except your first finger. So you're in a little steeple pose, Kali Mudra. And then reach up as high as you can so you can feel the torso lengthening. With the tailbone gently tucked, we're going to just bend slightly backwards. So looking up to the ceiling and just bend back as far as feels good for your spine here. And breathe here. And with an inhale, come back up straight. With an exhale, we're going to bend over to the right. Inhale back to center, trying to keep the hips in the center rather than bending to one side as much as you can. And then exhale, bend to the left. Inhale back to center. And then release the grip. Hands are shoulder width apart. We're going to inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, fold down, hinging from the hips into your Uttanasana forward fold. And then just walking the hands back into your downward facing dog. Finding your position here, tailbone pointing up towards the ceiling. And breathe here. With an inhale, we're going to ripple forward into a plank. So finding your plank position, drop the hips slightly. And just to make sure that you're kind of pressing away from the mat again. So we're doming a little bit through the upper back. You can feel the shoulder blades kind of moving away from each other as you press away. Then we're going to exhale, lower knees, chest and chin all the way down, keeping the elbows tight in towards the body. And then we're going to inhale, chest shines forward into our baby cobra. So you're pressing down through the tops of the feet. The pubic bone is pressing into the mat. And you're breathing here. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, tucking the toes. Exhale, press back through your child's pose. And inhale, lifting up into your downward facing dog.
And breathing here. And with an inhale, we're going to raise the right leg into a three-legged dog. So keeping the hips square to the mat, parallel to the mat. We're going to exhale, bring the knee through to the nose, dome the upper back to create space, and step to the front of the mat. Again, as always, if you don't make it all the way, give your foot a little helping hand. We're going to exhale, drop the back knee, untuck the back toes. Inhale, reach up into our low lunge, Anjaneyasana. So shoulders are away from the ears, and just gently press into that front thigh. So knee needs to be over the ankle, so you can always shift the foot gently forward if you want to sort of lean a little bit further. And breathe here. Then with an exhale, we're going to drop the hands to frame the front foot, and we're going to shift the hip back so that your hip is over your knee. We're going to come into a half split here, so you can just walk the front foot forward a little bit, so kind of shuffle forward, and then when the leg feels kind of straight but not straining, you can flip the front toes up towards the ceiling, which creates a stretch in the hamstrings. And then fingertips are coming onto the mat. We're going to inhale, lengthen the spine, and exhale, just gently bring your nose towards your knee, only as far as feels good for this hamstring stretch, and breathe here. So check that you're not sort of collapsing over to the left side. Hips are nice and square in the middle. Breathing here. With an inhale, we're going to shift the weight forward, coming back into your low lunge with fingertips on the ground. So shoulders away from the ears. Again, we're not really pressing much weight into the fingertips, they're just lightly on the mat. And then we're going to exhale, come back into your half split. So again, if you need to shuffle that foot forward, flip the toes towards the ceiling. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bring the nose towards the knee. Check that your hips are not collapsing to one side. And breathing here. And with an inhale, we're going to shift the weight forward, bring the fingertips to frame the foot. Make sure your knee is over your ankle. Inhale, reach the arms alongside the ears one more time. Exhale, frame the front foot, pick up the back knee, and step back into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. And with an inhale, we're going to raise the left leg into a three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the knee through to the nose, step to the front of the mat. However you can get there. Exhale, back knee comes down, untuck the toes, inhale, reach up into your low lunge. Again, dropping the shoulders, pressing into that front thigh so the hips just come ever so slightly lower towards the mat. Breathing here. Then we're going to exhale, frame the front foot, shift the weight back so the hip is over the knee. And again, shuffle this left foot forward. And then inhale, flipping the toes. Again, just check that you've got a nice stretch here, but it's not too intense. Hips are even. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, nose towards the knee. So you feel the stretch intensify, but again, just only as far as feels good for your body. We want resistance, but never any pain here. Breathing into the belly. And then we're going to inhale, shift the weight forward, come up onto the fingertips, roll the shoulders away from the ears, into your low lunge position. And then exhale, coming back again, checking hip over knee, shuffling that foot forward if you need to. Fingertips are on the mat. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, nose towards the knee. And then inhale, we're going to shift the weight forward again. Knee over ankle. Inhale, reach up into your low lunge. Exhale, frame the front foot, pick up the back knee and step back into your downward facing dog. And breathing here. With an inhale, we're going to ripple forward into a plank, dropping the hips slightly. Exhale, lower knees, chest, chin, all the way down to the mat. Pressing down through the tops of the feet. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, chest shines forward, baby cobra. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, press back through your child's pose. And inhaling up into your downward facing dog. And breathing here. With an inhale, we're going to look in between the hands and walk to the front of the mat. So feet are hip width apart as you fold. And then we're going to bring the feet together. So ankles together, knees together. We're going to come up into our chair pose. So with an inhale, you want to sweep the arms behind and then bring the arms alongside the ears into your chair pose. So shoulders away from the ears, arms alongside. Palms are facing each other. And you're sitting into your chair. So you want to be able to see your toes just beyond your knees. So your weight is in your 70% in your heels. And then we're going to exhale, fold down, plant the palms, step the right foot back, then the left. Exhale, lower knees, chest, chin, all the way down. We're going to inhale up to our cobra, so a little bit higher this time. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, tuck the toes. This time with an exhale, we're going to press up through a press up, keeping the elbows in towards the ribs. And inhaling up into our downward facing dog. And breathing here. With an inhale, we're going to raise the right leg into a three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the knee through to the nose, stepping to the front of the mat. We're going to pivot the back foot 45 degrees. So bringing your legs into train tracks, so they're not in one long line here. And then place that foot down at a 45-degree angle. So it's kind of facing the long edge of the mat. Keep your hips facing the front of the mat. And then we're going to inhale up into our warrior one. So you can shift the foot back if you need. Whoops. Bring knee over ankle. Then come into your warrior one. So hips facing forward. And we're pressing into the knife edge of the back foot. Keeping that back leg nice and strong. Breathing here. Exhale, frame the front foot. Step back into your downward facing dog. Hips pointing up towards the ceiling, chest towards the thighs. And breathing here. And with an inhale, we're going to raise the left leg into a three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the knee through to the nose. Step to the front. So feet are on our train tracks here. Pivot the right foot 45 degrees. Hips facing the front of the mat. Find your stable base. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. Breathing here. Then we're going to exhale, frame the front foot and step back into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. Keeping the breath through the nose. We're going to inhale, ripple forward into a plank. Exhale, lower knees, chest, chin, all the way down. Inhale, rising up into your cobra. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, press up through your press up. And inhaling back into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. With an inhale, we're going to look in between the hands. This time, walk the hands to the back of the mat again. And find your forward fold at the back of the mat. And then we're going to heel toe the feet together. Ankles together, knees together. Coming up into another chair pose. So getting ready. With an inhale, we're going to sweep the arms behind. And up alongside the ears. So checking where you are. See if you can sit a bit lower this time. And breathing here. With an inhale, rising all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. Samastiti. Take a breath here with the eyes closed. Take a moment to slow down the breathing, breathe into the belly. And as we slow down the breathing, we slow down the heart rate. And then just bringing the feet hip width apart again. Tucking the tailbone, we're going to inhale, reach all the way up. Hasta Tadasana, reaching out of the waist. Exhale, folding all the way down. And walking back into your downward facing dog. So finding correct positioning with your hands and your feet. And breathing here. With an inhale, we're going to raise the right leg into a three-legged dog. Exhale, bring the knee through to the nose. Step to the front of the mat. This time, keeping the back heel lifted. We're coming up into our high lunge. So inhaling up. Back leg is straight, knee over ankle at the front. Breathing here. And we're just going to clasp the hands behind the back. So bringing your wrists together if you can. If not, you can have the wrists apart. Depends on your shoulder opening. And then we're going to just imagine someone's pulling your hands down towards the ground, which opens the shoulders a little bit more. And breathe here. And with an inhale, reach the arms alongside the ears. Exhale, frame the front foot. And step back into your downward facing dog. Breathing here. Gently pressing the heels down towards the ground, training them to one day fully rest on the ground. And with an inhale, we're going to raise the right leg into our three-legged dog. Hips are square. Exhale, knee through to the nose, stepping to the front. Back heel is lifted. We're coming up with an inhale to our high lunge. Breathing here, dropping the shoulders. And bringing the palms together behind the back, clasping the hands. Open the chest, open the shoulders. Legs are strong, and someone's pulling your arms towards the ground. Breathing here. And with an inhale, reaching up with the arms. Exhale, frame the front foot. And step back into your downward facing dog. And breathe here. With an inhale, we're going to ripple forward into a plank. We're going to come into our side plank. So bringing the right hand underneath the face, spinning onto the side. Reach up with that left hand. So again, we're reaching up rather than pressing down. Try and press the hips up towards the ceiling as much as you can. If you need to drop the bottom leg here coming into a half plank, do so, but try to stay in your full plank. Breathing here, engaging the core. Exhale, bring the left hand down, and then coming to the other side. So spinning onto the left palm, right arm is reaching up, hips are lifting high. Breathing here. And then exhale, bring that right palm down. Find your position, come back into your plank. Lowering the hips, we're going to lower all the way down to the ground. So you can drop your knees or just come down in your own time onto the ground. I'm just going to shift back a little bit. So we're on the belly. Bring your forehead just onto your hands. So use your hands as a little pillow. And just breathe here. So again, slow down the breath. Slow down the heart rate. Breathing into the belly, sending the signal to our nervous system that we're calm and that we're safe. And then we're going to come into our Shalabhasana locust pose now. So bring the feet roughly hip width apart, but if it feels better to have them further out, that's also fine. Depends on your lower back. And then we're going to bring the hands alongside the body, palms are facing down. The chin can come onto the ground. And then when we inhale, we're going to lift the chest, shoulders and arms off of the mat, so just the sort of legs and the pelvis are left on the mat. So we have an inhale, lift, and breathe here. Try not to hold the breath. And exhale, lower down. You can create that pillow with your palms again, or the backs of the hands. And breathe here. And then when you're ready, we're going to do that once again. So bringing the chin onto the mat. Arms are extended alongside. You can press down through the tops of the feet and the pubic bone. And then inhale to lift. So ideally keeping your legs and your glutes engaged. The whole body is engaged as you lift. And exhale, lower down. Again, making that pillow with your hands. If you need to shift the hips from side to side, that sometimes feels good too. And then we're going to come to one more, but this time we're going to lift the legs off the ground as well. So it's just the pelvis that's going to be on the mat. So strengthening here, we're going to inhale to lift. And keep breathing. And then exhale, lower down. Making that pillow with your hands and gently just shifting your hips from side to side. And then bringing the heels in towards your sit bones. So we're going to do a half bow pose here. Just to kind of see how that feels. So we're going to, if you grab hold of the outer edge of the right foot with the right hand, this may completely throw us off balance, but let's give it a go. And then pressing down with the left palm into the ground, we're going to inhale, kick the foot into the hand and lift and lower down. And then do the same on the other side. So grabbing the outer edge of the left foot, inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Doesn't even matter if you don't come off the ground a lot there. Just shifting the hips from side to side. And then pressing the hands underneath your shoulders. We're going to press back into a child's pose. So bringing the knees together, pressing the sit bones down towards the heels, forehead onto the mat. And just come into your child's pose. So breathing into the belly so you can feel the belly expanding onto the thighs. And then when you're ready, we're going to lift back up into our downward facing dog. So tucking the toes, pressing the tailbone high. And breathing here. And with an inhale, we're going to ripple forward into a plank. We're going to come through our chaturanga, or you can carry on with knees, chest, chin. But if we're doing chaturanga, we're going to shift the weight forward, exhale halfway down, inhale, lifting up, looking towards the ceiling with just the tops of the feet on the mat. And then exhale, rolling over the toes, back into our downward facing dog. And breathing here. So in our down dog, we're going to press the weight into the right palm and inhale, reach the left arm up alongside the body, so in a diagonal line. Breathing here. Then exhale, lower that left palm down. Inhale, bring the right arm up alongside the body in our diagonal line. Breathing here. And then bring that palm back down, pressing the tailbone high up towards the ceiling. With an inhale, we're going to raise the right leg into our three-legged dog. And we're going to exhale, we're going to bring the right knee behind the right wrist and lay that right shin down onto the mat. So we're coming into our pigeon pose here. So your shin is kind of as parallel to the front of the mat as you can kind of get it, but it won't go anywhere near that, so don't force it. And if you've got any pain in your knee at all, probably best to come out of the pose. But if it's just a sort of pressure and a resistance, then you can flex that right foot to sort of protect the knee joint. And then we're going to shift this left leg back, so kind of walk this left leg back to drop the hips towards the ground. And then find where feels comfortable for you. And then we're going to come up onto the fingertips. So inhaling here, roll the shoulders away from the ears into our king pigeon. Breathing here. So you should feel a stretch on the outer edge of the right hip. So your right glute. And then we're going to exhale, lower down into our reclined pigeon. So if you can stretch the arms out long, bring the forehead down onto the mat. And that intensifies the stretch. So if that feels too much, you can walk the hands back in. You can come onto your forearms and just stay here. Or if that feels a little bit too easy, you can bring your forehead down onto the backs of your hands. So just see where feels good today. And this one is one where you're going to feel resistance and pressure, but we don't want any pain. So we want to inhale into where you're feeling the resistance. So inhale into that outer hip. And breathe here. Releasing, relaxing with each exhale. And with an inhale, we're going to walk the fingertips back in towards the body, come back to our king pigeon, roll the shoulders away from the ears, chest shines forward. And then plant the palms. We're going to pick up the back knee, so tucking the toes. And then lift that right leg all the way back to your three-legged dog. Give it a shake. And bring it back down onto the mat. So notice how that right leg feels now. Before we inhale and lift the left leg into our three-legged dog. Keeping the hips square, we're going to exhale, bring the left knee behind the left wrist this time. Placing the left shin down. Walk the foot forward to as far as feels comfortable. Flexing through that left foot. And then we're going to shuffle the right leg back. Dropping the hips so we create that little stretch on the outer hip. But again, nothing too strong here. Listen to your body. Then we're going to come up onto the fingertips, roll the shoulders back. Chest shines forward in our king pigeon. Breathing here. Shoulders away from the ears. And then we're going to start to walk down into our reclined pigeon. So whatever feels good for you on this side. Try and keep it even. So if you're fully reclined on the other side, try and fully recline on this side, even if it feels a little bit more intense. Just kind of, again, breathe into that area of tension. Unless it's painful, it's doing us a lot of good. Or of course you can come up onto your forearms and stay here. Again, shoulders away from the ears, just breathe into that area of tension. And try and relax into the pose with your exhale. And if you need to move at any point, you can. So if you then want to come down onto the backs of the hands to just intensify slightly. Just listen to your body and do what feels right for you today. Keep that breath into the belly, slow, long, deep breaths. And with an inhale, we're going to start to walk the fingertips in towards the body, come back into our king pigeon, roll the shoulders, chest shines forward. And then we're going to tuck the back toes, plant the palms, pick up the back knee, and bring that left leg back into our three-legged dog. Give it a shake and lower down. So back into our down dog. Notice now how the left leg feels. Do they feel the same now? And breathing here. Then we're going to drop the knees, coming back into a tabletop. And we're just going to come through some cats and cows here. So we're going to inhale, we're going to drop the spine, look up, tailbone points up. And then with an exhale, we're going to round the spine, press away from the yoga mat. Inhale, drop the belly, tailbone points up, looking up. Exhaling to round. Inhale, dropping the belly, looking up. And exhaling to round. And then coming back to your neutral spine, just for some good measure, we're going to do a couple of knee push-ups. So just shifting the weight slightly forward. We're going to do 5 press-ups. So in your own time, inhaling down, exhaling back up. So do your 5 press-ups here. Try and do them as slowly as you can, keeping the elbows into the side body. And pressing back up into your tabletop. And then coming into the center of the mat, we're going to lift up onto the knees. So the hips are over the knees here. We're going to come into our camel pose. So another little back bend here. So we want to bring the palms onto the your lower back here. So fingers are pointing down. And we're going to roll the shoulders away from the ears. Open the chest. Gently tucking the chin. So we want to engage the legs here. Engage the glutes, engage the legs. Tuck the tailbone slightly. And then as if you're pressing your hips forward as far as you can go. And then start to bend back, looking up towards the ceiling. And just stay here and breathe. So we're all completely different, doesn't matter how far you go back, just breathing here. Just make sure that shoulders are nice and open, chest is open. Then inhale back to center. Sit back onto the knees. Just take a breath in our hero's pose. And then lifting back up. So we can do exactly the same thing again. Or you can tuck the toes and see if you want to reach back and grab hold of the heels. Again, completely up to you and how you're feeling today. We've done some back bends to warm up, but we're all completely different. There's also the option of having some blocks to hands that will be a slightly higher. Well, they're not actually that much higher than my heels, but they might be a little bit higher. Or you could even, as long as you're not putting, actually no, let's not do that in case we put too much weight on. But you've got your blocks here, your heels. We're going to start with the hands, so fingers pointing towards the ground. Engage the glutes, engage the legs, pressing the hips forward. Tailbone is slightly tucked under. Chin is gently tucked as well, even though you're looking up. We don't want to sort of hang the neck back. And you can then see if you want to grab hold of your heels or your blocks and look up towards the ceiling, pressing those hips forward, protecting the lower back, breathing here. And then inhale, coming back up to center, untucking the toes if they were tucked. And sitting back into our hero's pose. Closing the eyes, taking a couple of breaths here. If that feels very intense on your knees, you can bring a blanket underneath your knees when you do camel. So just see how that feels. And each time will feel different if you practice that a couple of times. Some days you might feel that you're not going to go very far. Some days it might feel a bit more accessible. So again, always just listen to your body. And then we're going to come onto our seats now. So bringing the legs out in front. So legs are nice and long, toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. We're going to inhale, reach up with the arms, stretching out of the waist, and exhale, folding forward into our Paschimottanasana. The knees can be bent here or however feels good, and you don't have to hold on to the toes, you can hold on to the shins. Just try and inhale, lengthen the spine, and exhale, drop the nose towards the knees, and then relax. So with each exhale, you might drop or sink a little deeper. Keeping that deep belly breathing, breathing through the nose. I'm going to inhale, lift the arms all the way up to the ceiling. Exhale, float the fingertips down. So bringing the left sole of the foot into the right thigh. So twisting over that right leg, coming to our Janushirasana with the toes flexed. So we're going to inhale, reach up again out of the waist. We're going to float down with an exhale and try and reach past the toes. Inhale, float up to the ceiling. Exhale, float down, reaching past the toes. Or wherever you can, inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, float the arms down, and this time just grabbing whatever is accessible on your leg here. Shin, ankles, toes. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, nose towards the knee. So keep that motion going. Every time you inhale, you're slightly lengthening. Every time you exhale, you're slightly sinking. And inhale, reach the arms all the way up to the ceiling. Exhale, float the fingertips down. Switching the legs, bringing the right sole of the foot into the left thigh. Flexing the left toes, twisting over the left leg. Inhale, reach up out of the waist. Exhale, float the fingers down, reach beyond your toes or wherever you can. Inhale, floating the fingers back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, floating down, reaching beyond the toes. Inhale, floating up, reaching high. Exhale, floating down. And this time, just grabbing onto wherever feels good. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, nose towards the knee. Lengthening with the inhale, sinking with the exhale. Inhale, reaching the hands all the way up to the ceiling. Exhale, floating the fingertips down. And then we're going to come onto our backs now. So knees are pointing up to the ceiling here. We're going to come to a bridge pose. So bring the heels in towards the sit bones as close as you can. If you can tickle your fingertips onto your heels, that's perfect. If not, that's fine, just wherever you can get them. The knees are pointing up, so we're just going to want to make sure that they're parallel and not dropping out to the side or dropping into the middle. So try and keep them strong and in place. So we're going to tuck the tailbone under. So just tilt it up towards the ceiling so that the lower back comes down onto the mat. And then we want to engage the glutes, engage the thighs. And then with an inhale, we're going to peel the spine off of the mat. So bringing the hips up towards the ceiling. You can roll your shoulders underneath, clasp your hands underneath, and then lift the hips just a little bit higher. And breathing here. And releasing the arms. We're going to roll back down, but as slowly as we can, one vertebrae at a time. Bringing that spine and the lower spine onto the mat. And then when you're here, just windshield wiper your knees from side to side, massaging into your lower back. And then bringing the feet back into the body. We're going to do another bridge. So bringing the heels in towards the sit bones. Preparing here, tickling your heels. Knees are hip width apart. So tilting the tailbone towards the ceiling. Engaging the glutes, the thighs. We're going to lift the hips high. Rolling the spine up. Again, you can clasp the hands, roll the shoulders underneath, press the hips up as high as you can. Breathing here, everything is strong. And then unclasping the hands, we're going to roll back down, vertebrae by vertebrae, no rush. Coming back down onto the mat. And then bringing the knees in towards the chest, giving yourself a little hug here. Again, rocking from side to side is nice, it just gives a little massage into the lower back. And then bringing the feet down, we're going to prepare for a shoulder stand. So coming onto the back. So we want to kind of gently rock up. So we're going to rock the pelvis over the shoulders and bring the legs sort of straight up towards the ceiling. So just pressing your hands down into the mat and just gently bring the knees into the chest and try and rock up. And then bringing your hands onto your back, so onto your lower back to start with, and then you can walk the hands down the back. We want the toes pointing to the ceiling. We want your hips over your shoulders as much as possible. Don't twist your neck to the side. So try not to look anywhere else apart from at your belly button. And breathe here. If you feel unstable, you can bring your elbows closer towards the body. And just take some deep breaths through the nose here. So you can see your belly expand and contract. Breathing deeply here. And then when you're ready, you can bring your knees towards your forehead, coming into plow pose. So we're going to extend the legs overhead. Keep your hands supporting your lower back. If your toes touch the floor, that's great. If not, that's also fine. Breathing deeply here. If your toes touch the floor, you can bring the forearms down, palms onto the mat, but only if they're touching. If not, keeping the back supported. And then when you're ready, we're going to come out of the pose. So the same way we came out of the bridge, but supporting your back here with your hands as you lower down. Try not to go fast at any point. Obviously, your back will want to go a little bit faster at some points, but controlling that movement. And then bringing the legs down. Just allow the legs to drop out long here. Spine is straight for a couple of breaths. So just breathing here. And then we're going to come to a fish pose. So just bringing the legs together, toes are pointed. We're going to bring the hands to a diamond shape, just underneath the sit bones. Forearms come down onto the mat. Chest is shining up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to exhale, drop the head back, opening through the throat, the chest, the shoulders, and breathe here. Inhale, head back to center, coming off of the forearms and just lying back down. And bringing the knees into the chest again, giving yourself a hug here. Just rocking from side to side. If shoulder stand feels too strong in this practice or in any day, if there just doesn't feel like you want to do a shoulder stand, or if you're on your monthly cycle, it can feel a bit too much with the blood pressure. So if you don't want to do a shoulder stand at that point of the video, you can just bring your legs up towards the ceiling. So just literally, we're just creating an inversion here where the blood and everything, you know, the oxygen and everything is just flowing the other way up the body to detoxify our organs, our digestive system, and it's really good internally. So you can still get some of the benefits just, you know, with this simple movement of just bringing the legs up, feet pointing up towards the ceiling, either toes pointed or flexed, or a bit of both if you quite like the feeling of the movement in the ankles. And you can just rest here for the same amount of time, and then when we go into plow pose, again you can just kind of rest here. So that's just another option. But for now we're going to drop the hands either side of the head into a cactus shape, and with an exhale drop the knees over to the right, gaze comes to the left hand. Breathing here, breathe down the length of the spine. And inhale, the knees back through center, exhaling to the left, gaze to the right hand this time, breathing here. And then inhale, knees through center, hug the knees again. This time bring the forehead up towards the knees, curling into a tight ball, squeezing everything together. And then exhale, release, allow the legs to drop out long. Arms to flop out to the side. Feet to flop out to the side. Shoulders are relaxed. Let go of any deep breathing now. Come back to your natural breath. And coming into your Shavasana, the most important pose of the class, where your body will just rest and repair and take in the benefits of the movement. So notice if you're holding any areas of tension here. And completely relax the body into the mat. Try not to allow any thoughts to creep back into the mind at this point, which they will try to do, especially when we're in stillness. Just try to keep that still mind a little while longer, just concentrating on the breath if you need something to focus on. And just fully relaxing down. Start to bring some awareness back into your body now. Wiggle through your fingers and your toes. Circle your wrists and your ankles. Bring your arms overhead and give yourself a full body stretch. And then bringing your knees into your chest, give yourself a hug here. And then just rolling over onto your right side. Just taking a couple of breaths in the fetal position. You can use your arm as a pillow if that feels nice. And just feeling supported by the ground here. And just gently pressing yourself up to a comfortable seated position. If you can keep your eyes closed a little while longer. So just once again, elongating through the spine. Crown of the head reaches up, sit bones are pressing down. Shoulders are relaxed, spine is nice and tall. And just bringing your hands together at heart center. Just thank yourself for taking the time to go through this practice. Move your body, connecting with your breath, and stilling your mind. And bringing your thumbs to your third eye for wisdom, we bow and say Namaste. Thank you.